What is good, all of our listeners and viewers? Welcome back to another episode of Games and Groceries. My name is Adam.
And I'm Liz.
And I'm wearing the exact same outfit as the Coffee Games episode. Woo! We're here with episode 128, where we're going to be talking with Nick DePalo about his game, Adam's Ascending. But first, we've got some segments for you. Yes, we do. All right. We're here. My headphones are a little too big, but
headphones are a little too big.
Yeah, that's it. But Liz, how you doing?
I'm good.
Cool.
I made chocolate chip cookies today.
Awesome.
I have to say they're probably the best ones I've made so far in our marriage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I haven't had them yet.
You haven't?
No, but I will probably after this episode. Who knows?
Yeah, probably.
Or while we're recording our other podcast, What's the Biz? You should check out that podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, before we get into the first segment, some business to take care of. Liz and I are doing some little powwows here and there about maybe some changes coming to the channel. I'll just say that some changes coming to the channel, but whether it be 128 subscribers as we do now, it could be one subscriber. We want to treat all of you with the respect that you have taken the time to subscribe. You've taken the time to watch our videos, and we want to keep you updated of what's going on. So if we do make any big changes that we're thinking about, we will let you know, and hopefully in the future, this will be for the betterment of the content that you'll be getting. So, I just want to say that.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Betterment a word?
It is now. But yeah, so I just want to keep you all of you updated so that you know what you're going to get when you subscribe to the channel. So
yes.
Thanks for tuning in. Thank you so much for subscribing. We've gotten past 100 subscribers, and I'm just thankful for all of you. Whether you watch the channel or not, you've taken the time to just hit that subscribe button. So, but yeah, so let's get started. If you want to hear more of maybe what our plans are, we might talk about it on What's the Biz. The next one comes out every Tuesday. It's audio only. The link will be down below. But we're also on social media. We're on Twitter at Gaming Groceries. So you can also follow us individually. I'm at Ace the Grocer.
And I'm at Journey First.
You can also follow us on Instagram, Games and Groceries, all one word, where you can see behind the scenes photos, some memes here and there, and as well as some questions I will ask you about the discussion on this podcast. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and even Facebook. And I will ask you a question that involves this very discussion that we're going to be having with a guest. So get in on the conversation. Follow us on social media there. We also have a website, gamesandgroceries.com, where you can listen to all the podcasts from the website, as well as you can find out where you listen to the audio versions of the podcast, as well as some articles I've written in the past. I hope I have time to write more articles, but I simply don't. And if you haven't yet, if you're new to the channel, what's up? How you doing? You doing good? I think I stole Curtis Connor's intro, but it is what it is. Be sure to click that subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when all these podcasts come out, as well as our weekly videos. So stay tuned for that. And with all that said and done, enough chit chat.
Yeah, Adam.
Enough of that. Let's just go into our first segment.
Movie Minutes.
Movie Minutes is a segment that we talk about the movies that we watched in the past week, whether it be on Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, maybe soon HBO Max, and we will like to give you a recommendation or not a recommendation. My goodness.
You got this.
But this week's Movie Minutes, this whole month of Movie Minutes, in the month of December, maybe a couple weeks after into January, we're going to be reviewing Christmas movies over on streaming channels. Yes, Christmas movies, because we're in the Christmas season. We wanted to give you some sparkly joy. So instead of our usual rating systems, which is a avoid at all costs, pass, enjoyable, solid, and perfect for us, we're going to give you out of 5 jingles. 1 being It's the Matrix. It's not actually a Christmas movie. And 5 being Elf or the Santa Claus, something that's clearly a Christmas classic. So with that said, we have this movie for you. It's found on Netflix. It came out. Netflix says 2019. IMDb says 2018, so I think 2019. It's called Christmas Break-In. Oh my God! Yay! Except, so opening thoughts go.
So we were not planning on watching this movie. Originally, I had suggested something else, but then we found out it was a musical and it would have killed Adam.
Yep.
So we quick looked for other Christmas movies to watch, and this one was like, oh, this one looks cute.
Yeah.
Let's watch this. And it was a cute idea. It was basically another version of Home Alone.
A worse version.
It's actually worse. Like, you think the parents in Home Alone are bad.
Yeah.
These parents are worse.
Yeah.
Like, much worse.
Right.
I don't really have any starter thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts on this movie.
Well, let me get started with my first note here. By the way, I have my glasses on again. Reason being because I don't want to keep doing this because I'm blind as a bat. You're going to have to deal with a ring light in my glasses.
It's okay, babe.
Subscribe to the channel. So far, as this movie begins, not off to a good start.
It was a cute start.
Okay, let me get into this. Cute as it may be, but the whole thing, Christmas Break-In, it has to do with these three criminals. By the way, one of the people in the criminals was in another movie that we reviewed last year for Christmas Movie Minutes. My Brother the Time Traveler, I believe it was called. That was a great movie.
That was a cute movie.
This one, however, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But it starts with some criminals who do a robbery. They do a break-in of a Salvation Army.
Yeah.
To take their change.
Yeah, they didn't take like cash or things. They
took quarters. So fantastic, great setup there. Also, there is a guitar problem. There's a problem with the little girl needs to get her guitar. It's a school day, so she's expecting it to get it the morning before school, I guess. So there's a problem with there. Also, there's a dog in the school.
Yeah, the janitor just like brings his dog to school.
Just brings his dog.
What ifs? No one has a problem.
No one has a problem. Just a dog at a school. I mean, I love my doggos and all that, but so far, it's just the story is just so. What's happening?
Yeah, I mean, clearly from the beginning, you get that her parents can be forgetful because she like writes on their heads like, "Don't forget her. You're getting my guitar today."
Right.
And she didn't think she was getting her guitar that morning. Her friends did, which was stupid.
Yes, her
because
friends.
She wrote on her parents' hands 3:00.
Yes.
She reminded them, like, I get out of school at 3. You're picking me up at 3 to go get my guitar.
And her parents forget her
a lot.
And
this is not the first time.
And now there's Christmas break happening. And by the way, the movie uses Christmas break to exist as a Christmas movie. And so there's a snowstorm coming in and the whole school evacuates. There's the Christmas recitals canceled. And so the whole story sets up is that the school goes away and leaves the 9-year-old.
Like, they made it seem like it's perfectly normal for all the faculty and staff to leave when a child hasn't been picked up.
They were conscious that they were leaving the 9-year-old. They're like, "You're going to be okay? You're going to be okay?" And they're like, "Yeah, my parents are away." Okay, you're going to be okay.
The most responsible adult in this movie was the janitor.
Yeah.
Like,
and even he left.
But he at least like let her into the school. He made sure because like he knew her, he knew her parents. So if anything was really wrong, he would have been contacted.
I guess so, yeah.
But he at least noticed there was still a child sitting in the front steps of school waiting for their parents to pick them up.
Yeah, and it's just like there's things that happen in this movie, and the whole premise is that the school is on lockdown. Boom. Okay, little girl stays in the school because there's a snowstorm. She's upset because her parents forgot her, and there's this guitar problem. She still wants her guitar, and then the criminals come into the school. Christmas break-in because contrivances. And that's the other thing. That's my other notes is that to call this movie contrived would actually be a compliment to this movie. If you don't know what it means to be contrived, it's that things kind of happen for the sake of the story. But this one, things are just kind of happening.
Yeah.
There's really no reason for these things to be happening.
Yeah.
And movie just is movie.
Yeah.
And there's really no reason for it.
There isn't. And we pointed out that, they used it being Christmas break to drive this movie. But really, I pointed out, I'm like, this movie could have been done any weekend of the school year with a rain, like a big storm happening. It didn't need to be snow.
Yeah.
Could have been any type of storm that would cause the thieves to use the school for shelter.
It's a completely just things happen kind of movie.
Yeah.
And let's go into our final thoughts. So out of 5 jingles, what did you give this?
I gave it 2.
2 jingles. Why is that?
Because like I said, it didn't need to be set during Christmas time. And honestly, it didn't even need to be set. Like, it didn't need to be set during winter either. But even though they used Christmas time, again, it could have been done over a weekend. They didn't really talk about Christmas except for the last scene.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was Christmas break.
Yeah.
And the acting was not not great.
It wasn't the acting that I hated. It was the writing.
Yeah, the writing was bad.
Yeah. And the writer's, his professional name in the middle of it is Spanky.
Yeah. And then really what saved this movie was they had bloopers at the end, and I live for bloopers.
Yeah, it's a problem when the bloopers are more entertaining than the movie.
Yeah.
I also gave it a 2 because, like you said, there is Christmas involved. But very barely. I would have ranked, and if you watched last year's, when we watched Last Christmas, I gave that more of a Christmas vibe than this one.
Oh yeah, that definitely had more Christmas vibe.
And Last Christmas was just no reason why it had to be Christmas, and that had more Christmas vibe.
Though I do say, watch the first scene of the family, and then skip to the last scene on Christmas Day.
Wait, what movie are you talking about?
This movie.
Oh, yeah.
Because the last scene is just hilarious if you have the context.
Yes.
Of the movie.
Yes.
Because
it's
ridiculous.
Oh my God.
Like,
who wrote this?
Just get the premise from the beginning of the movie and then just skip to the last scene on Christmas Day, and it's hilarious.
So on a regular scale, this would be an avoid at all costs because the entire 1 hour and 42 minutes, all I kept screaming at the screen was, who wrote this? Send him to jail.
Yeah, it was fun for us to make fun of.
So that's our thoughts on Christmas Break-In. It's on Netflix. If you want a very poorly written movie, go ahead and watch it, I guess. It was bad. It was awful. But
Hallmark and Lifetime Christmas movies are better than this movie.
So if you're up for the challenge, it's on Netflix. Go ahead, watch it for yourself. But please don't. Definitely watch Operation Christmas Job. That's so far the best Christmas movie we've seen so far this year on Netflix. So check that out. But all that said and done, let's just why don't we do this? Why don't we just go into our second segment?
Top 3 Gaming News.
The top 3 gaming news is the gaming news that we saw in the past week, and we'd like to rank it 3, 2, 1, just to give you a condensed version of what's going on in the gaming industry. I don't know what's going on, except I do, because I wrote these things down. So Business Twins, why don't we get started here? Business Twins, with our number 3 gaming news, which is about Bad Robot Games. Which is, if you don't know, Bad Robot is J.J. Abrams' film company. In 2018, he made a gaming company called Bad Robot Games. And just recently, they just made their CEO. Oh, man, this is really bad. I can't remember her name. Oh, no, she was a former Valve CEO, and I'm terrible. Oh, I'm so sorry, everybody. But, yes, so J.J. Abrams made this game studio. 2018, but now they're making an in-game studio. They're making an in-house game studio. It is still Bad Robot Games, but here's the thing: they just assigned general manager Michael Booth. If you don't know who Michael Booth is, he is the creative designer behind Left 4 Dead, and he's also the CEO and creator of Turtle Rock Studios, I believe it's called, who is also making Back 4 Blood. When I wrote this news piece down, this was before the game news.
Awards.
Thank you. Before the Game Awards, and we saw Back 4 Blood, and I just thought, wait, so Michael Booth is being a general manager at Bad Robot, and he's doing Back 4 Blood? That's crazy. I mean, it's not impossible, but good for Michael Booth.
Yeah.
So,
busy man.
And I want to read this quote, and it's from Michael Booth, who has this to say. My career has been, oh my goodness. Here we go, Adam. Okay, 3, 2, 1. My career has been driven by a desire to innovate new ways of bringing people together for epic adventure online, leaving them with exciting stories they can tell with their friends afterwards. Booth said in a statement, the games I create center around people working together to survive and thrive in fantastic worlds, which seems an excellent fit for J.J. Abrams' approaching to movie making. As a huge fan of J.J.'s work, I'm incredibly excited by the unique opportunity to create something new at Bad Robot Games Studios in collaboration with the world-class talent at Bad Robot.
Nice.
But yeah, so he's just saying that like he very much is a fan of JJ. He's ready to tell more stories, and that's what I mean. That's kind of telling that Bad Robot will be more involved in story-driven games. So.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because JJ is first a movie maker.
Exactly. Yeah,
You know?
he's a storyteller.
Yeah.
And what this tells me is that there will be a ton of lens flare in all of his games. JJ loves his lens flares. He loves them. Much as I do love buy drinks. Yummy. But what do you think about all of this?
I mean, I think it's a step in the right direction. I think they're clearly bringing someone on who is passionate about it and he wants to be there and he's excited. I think it's good when everyone's excited and driven, and I think it's a good step in the right direction.
Yeah, he's bringing people from the industry to actually help him out.
Yeah.
Much like Stadia did, where they brought in, Jade Raymond and other veterans within the industry.
When you don't know exactly what to do, you bring in someone who does.
Exactly. So applauding J.J. Abrams bringing in Michael Booth, who is also making Back for Blood, which I really want to play. I can't wait to play Back for Blood. The trailer for that at the Game Awards looks so cool. I can't wait. But yeah, so that's our number 3 gaming news. Number 2 is about Halo Infinite. Oh my God, what is wrong with me?
Maybe I should read the quotes.
I just got out of work. Halo Infinite, everybody. They put out 343, I should say. 343 put out a massive blog post detailing why they are not really delaying, because it was already delayed indefinitely, but now they put out a new I guess deadline, another deadline, but a new release date, fall 2021.
Yeah.
A whole nother year, everybody, for Halo Infinite. And after seeing that footage for the first time, no one's really complaining that it's taking another year. So it's pretty interesting, but I want to read one quote from this massive blog post. By the way, all the articles will be linked down below in the description if you want to read for yourself. But there's one interesting thing in here about microtransactions in Halo Infinite. So there's a lot of things in this blog post that details, hey, we're delaying it to fall 2021. There's going to be a lot more graphical fidelity. In fact, if you're watching the video version, this is a screenshot on the blog post of their new upgraded visuals within the game.
Nice.
So they all link images. If you're listening on audio, you can click that link, and check it out for yourself. But then they get down to the multiplayer will be free to play. And with that, there's going to be microtransactions, of course. But there's not going to be any loot boxes. So there's not going to be any gambling with it. So that brings us to this quote, which is in very tiny text. I'm so sorry.
Tiny.
Who says, oh my goodness, can I read this? I will. Okay, gonna go up close. Here we are. Saying, yes, being free to play does mean that there will be some premium cosmetics, but players will still obtain tons of customization content through things like playing campaign challenges, skills, special events, legacy rewards, such as Halo 5 SR152 reward, the progression system, and more. We will always provide value for pure engagement and simply playing the game. We believe that providing value isn't exclusive to monetary transactions, and it's also about making sure that you're properly rewarded for the time you are investing into the game. Players that play free will be able to unlock items across a multitude of different customization types to allow them to represent themselves in game. So what he's basically saying here is that, yes, there will be microtransactions. Yes, there will be premium cosmetics. However, you can unlock them just playing the campaign. You can unlock them just in your progression throughout the thing. Like, you can purchase them. There is an option. Like, you don't want to play through the campaign? Pay money, go ahead. But if you want to go ahead and play the game and unlock it in a progression, that's up to you.
Yeah.
So I think that's a pretty cool system. What do you think?
No, I think that's great. I think that's I'm glad that they're doing that because it hasn't been like that in so long.
Yeah, and I do like the way Fortnite puts it out, because you can buy a battle pass and there is ways to unlock the systems, and in the battle pass you can unlock enough currency where you don't have to buy the battle pass again. You can just use the V-Bucks that you earned in game to buy the next battle pass. I don't think this will be anything like that, but I do think it will just unlock cosmetics like in Halo 5. I've never purchased in-real game money for cosmetics in Halo 5, and I've gotten so many just by playing the game.
Yeah.
And I like what he says is that he wants to make sure that the time you're investing, you're rewarded for.
Exactly, and that's good.
So I'm excited for this, and I'm excited that it's waiting till fall 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I was telling you when you told me this, is that, yes, it's good that they're delaying it so that it looks good and it's like the way it's supposed to be. But also, it's really bad that they need another year when it was supposed to come out like a month ago.
Why don't we talk about Cyberpunk then?
I don't even want to talk about that.
Also, before we go into our number one gaming news, sorry to say, Craig the Brute is getting a total makeover. He's not going to be a meme anymore. He's getting a complete makeover from hair to face, everything. Rest in peace. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, Craig the Brute. Anyways,
There you go.
I just got out of work. So that brings us to our final gaming news, and it's all about Mass Effect! Mass Effect, everybody. It's coming back. It's here. And the rumors are saying that it's going to be taking place right after Mass Effect 3 and not Mass Effect Andromeda, which I found to be boring. I'm sorry. But here's the thing. It's taking place after Mass Effect 3. Rumors saying. Oh, should I press the rumor alert?
No.
Okay. But here's the big news piece is that there's going to be veteran Mass Effect writers and multiple other people that are coming back for this project. That's right, everybody. This is amazing because of this quote. I'm just going to read this out here. So before I get started with this quote, I should say the names of these. So a lot of people are just really just on edge because Casey Hudson left, Mark Dara left BioWare, and these are the lifeblood of BioWare. And a lot of people are thinking like, well, if there's going to be a new Mass Effect, these are the creative designers behind it. Who's going to create it? Like, it's not going to feel the same. And here goes Mr. Gamble, Mr. Mike Gamble, who is the project manager behind this game, saying that I forget the names. Dusty, thank you, Adam. Dusty Everman and Parrish Lay, who are original narrative writers, narrative designers behind the Mass Effect trilogy. And I believe, if I'm correct, Dusty Everman was also the narrative designer for Andromeda. And Parrish Lay was also the trilogy. He didn't do, or I'm stupid. Anyways, so I'm going to read this quote here. So, the quote reads, Gamble adds that there are more ex-BioWare developers returning for the new game, ex-BioWare developers, and explains, we've heard what Mass Effect means to you. While they've remained at BioWare, Gamble also points out that the original Mass Effect art designer, Derek Watts, and programmer and designer Brennan Holmes are part of the new team. So this is fantastic. There's going to be multiple people who have the heart behind Mass Effect. Mike Gamble's going to be a part of it. Unfortunately, Casey Hudson won't. Unfortunately, Mark Dara won't be a part of it. And it sucks that Mark Dara left because Dragon Age was just revealed. So, well, not revealed, but shown a little bit more. And it's going to be a little bit odd. But at the same time, we've got some veterans to the series that are coming back for the system. So I think it's fantastic. And I think that a lot of people who love Mass Effect of old are going to absolutely adore this decision that all these people who are ex-BioWare are coming back for this. So it just paints a beautiful picture of hope for people who love the original Mass Effect trilogy. So, Liz, you love Mass Effect. What do you think?
Okay. No, I think this is good. I think it kind of shows that they learned a little bit from Andromeda.
Yes.
And they want to try and make up for it.
Yeah.
So.
I personally didn't like Andromeda.
I know a lot of people do enjoy the story, but I just remember what a mess it was when it released.
Yeah.
And I think they're just trying to make up for that.
Like Cyberpunk. Number 4 gaming news. Cyberpunk's a complete mess.
Oh, goodness.
So, but yeah, I think this is exciting news. multiple other people are coming back for Mass Effect project, and it's going to be a great game. I think it is. I said it about Mass Effect Andromeda, and I was wrong. But yeah, so that's the number one gaming news. So the top 3 gaming news, just to let you know, Bad Robot Games assigns Michael Booth as general manager. What do you think about that? Do you think we're going to get another Left 4 Dead kind of copy paste thing, or are we going to get a brand new game from Michael Booth? Write your thoughts in the comments down below. Number 2 is that Halo Infinite is going to be delayed till fall 2021. Do you think this is the right decision? Are you going to miss Craig the Brute? Write your thoughts in the comments down below. And number 1 is that multiple leads are going to be coming back for the Mass Effect project. We don't know if it's going to be Mass Effect 4. We don't know if it's going to be after Andromeda. Nobody really knows at this point. It's just rumors at this point. But write your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think it's going to be worse without Casey Hudson? Just write your thoughts in the comments down below. So, with all that said and done, I think it's time to bring on our guest. What do you think?
Okay.
I think it's time. Nick DePalo has been designing his game, Adams Ascending, for 5 years now. It just released early access. We're going to be talking with him a little bit about his journey, what it's like being a developer, the difference between early access and full release. So let's just go ahead. Let's just bring him on. Let's bring our good friend, Nick DePalo. All right, everybody, we are back with our good friend, Game Master Extraordinaire of Adams Ascending. It's Nick DePalo. We're back to it. 3rd time on the show.
Yeah.
Woo.
Man.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem, man. I definitely want to get you on the show because you released Adams Ascending early access. How are you feeling right now? Are you feeling pumped for it or anxiety? What are you feeling?
Getting some sleep. That's how it feels right now.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Right.
No, feel great. You know, I always knew the project wasn't this like, you know, massive, amazing, perfect thing, but it was always about like, okay, I have this deadline. I wanted to get it out, and it was always about just, yes, I hope people enjoy it and hope people take it all in. But it was always about just like, I want to make a game and put it out there. So with that said, I'm totally happy with getting to this point. I know there's a lot more work in the back of my mind now that it's out there. That's like ticking. It's like, I got to do that. I got to fix this. I got to do this. So that's still there and present, but it does feel good to be at the other end, to say, you know, to learn everything. Oh, how do you release a game on Steam? How do you create even a build on Unity? How do you code something? Or how do you do an update? Like, I think it's been just amazing just to experience all those check marks. So it's never, ever again in the back of my mind. It's like, oh, how do you release a game? How does a game work? How do updates work? I have that wrap. So it feels good. It feels good to be here, getting a little bit of sleep at night, you know, and being in front of a computer for 4 or 5 hours coding away. It's like, oh, wow, I could lay back and relax. So it feels a little guilty sometimes, but it feels good. It feels good. Got to the other end.
Now, you talked a little bit about learning how to code, how to build up Unity, and I think that's the most impressive part is that you going into this, and this was 5 or 6 years ago that you started Adams Ascending.
I think 5, going to 6. Next year will be a bunch of updates, so it'll probably be 6 by next year. Yeah.
And so 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, you just got the call to make a video game, and you were in Hollywood before. You were in production, and you just felt this call like, I need to go make a video game. And you kind of just went to you went to California, but you also had a family involved. You know, you were married. Did you have your first child at the time when you started?
So what's crazy is the game has been on the journey of my being single to being engaged is when the game started. Then being, and then I think it was a year or two later having our first kid, and then then buying. So the game's been around through the whole process of like, oh, we bought our first house, we got married, oh, we had our first child, oh, now we had our second or twins that came into this world. So the game's been part of this whole crazy journey. And I think it's just been insane timing too, because if I started today, I would never be able to do it. I needed, the first year is all about like, oh, I have 8 hours to do whatever I want in my free time. Let me learn how to
Mhm.
code, so I would have never been able to do it now. So yeah, talk about whatever you get that calling in your heart to go do it.
Yeah.
Even if you don't understand it fully, because there's moments and seasons that you're supposed to do that, and don't hold back. So yeah, it was that calling that just came, and then moved onto it. I know I'm already rambling, but I hopefully answered that question.
Well, yeah, I was going to even ask you, and that's actually your answer. Actually, brings me to my actual question. Is that now that it's gone through your entire journey of being single to engaged to married to having your first kid to twins, now you're saying that if you started right now, it would be much more difficult. And I think my first question for you is the balance that you've come in your dream to make a video game. And that's what I want to ask you, is that through this whole lifestyle change, there's so many different seasons of life. How did you balance all of that? How did you balance going through life while also following your dream? What are your thoughts on that?
I think, yeah, the way to balance life while following your dreams, I think it really just comes down to, I think I've mentioned this I mentioned it to people, is like setting your priorities, and, obviously family should be your first priority. But it was always a balance of time with, like you guys are doing with it's podcasts and then work, and so it's the same scenario where it's just, all right, now I'm gonna go to work, and then I'll come back from work and work for a couple hours on the game, and then spend time with family or the wife at the time in the
Yes.
beginning. Just really setting goals, and staying consistent. I think whether you want to be a millionaire or make a game or build a house or whatever it is, like, you just have to set goals and then start being consistent. I think that's the key. And not beating around the bush is really just like, all right, I have to put my time in. And even now with future updates that are coming with the game, I've already got a schedule in my head where it's like, all right, I got to start doing this to get to this, to be able to send an update. So balancing a podcast and family and gaming, and this is like what you have to be accustomed to, and it's just normal. So yeah, just setting goals and times, I think, is key.
And yeah, that's the thing. And I love how you mentioned that family needs to be first. And I think we've said this to our audience before, is that sure, we can do a million other things for content, but we need time to be a married couple. We need time to actually build our marriage. Because at the end of it, let's say we get to that 100,000 subscriber count. But if by the end of that, we're more coworkers than a married couple, then what did we actually do it for?
Yeah.
But I think that's setting that priority. I love that. And that's the reason why I wanted to ask you that, is because, starting off this conversation, being a debut game developer, you set goals, but you also set priorities. And I think that's first and foremost. Now I want to go into a little bit of my second question, because I feel like every time you've come on, we've talked about your passion and your priorities. So if you want to hear more from Nick, definitely check out our previous episodes with him. Which, by the way, you are our first video guest. I just found that out. You were the first one we actually did a video podcast for. So milestones here.
Making it.
Now, I want to ask you, with your social media presence, and again, not everybody can be a social media connoisseur. You can only put out so many updates before you just, you can't focus on that. You have to focus on the thing you're actually doing. But in your social media presence, right, you've constantly put out updates about your game development. You've shared it on Instagram. You've shared it on Twitter. And with that, you've come under, let's say, feedback, right? A little feedback here and there. Now, I want to ask you, as a debut game developer, how did you differentiate actual feedback versus trolls? What was your guideline for that?
I think it's tough. I think even troll feedback has to be taken into account. And you have to just analyze it and say, okay, even if it's troll feedback, it's still feedback. And sometimes even the loudest customer that says your product sucks or your product's awesome, you have to listen to both of them. There's something that you can't see. I think when it comes down to like personality stuff, I think if someone starts railing on you or about like, your faith, or you're always smiling and happy or something along those lines, that's whatever. You just ignore that. But anything critical with the game, you take into account. I got some great feedback, saw some great, and yeah, like some feedback will just be individuals that might not fully get the entire, let's say for the game, the entire experience that they're supposed to receive. So they don't,
Sure.
that maybe they've come across something or they've got stuck themselves and they take that frustration out on the game or the developer. But that's still feedback for me to say, okay, this is how I could improve this overall game, make this easier for these types of players instead of those types of players. So yeah, I think it's just take it all in. You know, I think I would call them players, call them customers, call them people who enjoy your experience. You have to listen to it all. You know, and I always, you know, I'm all about the word of God. So, you know, and even in the Bible it says, you know, I'm paraphrasing, but take the counsel of many, you know, like, so if it's okay to sit around a table and be like, oh, what do you think about this? And even if 9 out of the 10 disagree with you, it's important to analyze all that and to soak up that counsel, and that not gaming, no pun intended, but yeah, take that wisdom in from everybody and to analyze and go forth. So yeah, I enjoy it all. It's just like, I'm humbled to even be, the way I see it, and I'll leave it at this, is the way I see it, as I always go, man, I have a game out that I got someone to rip it or say it was great.
Yeah.
Cool. Like, even being at that moment, that's like joyful for me. And it's just like, cool, I made a game that someone actually really likes or actually really hates. Fantastic. I did it. So it's, I always go back to, you know, I don't watch wrestling, but I love the aspect of wrestling where they always talk about, you know, if you're a heel, which is a bad guy in wrestling, or a good guy, if you could get a reaction from the crowd, you've done your job. And I think that's what it comes down to, whether you're doing podcast, gaming. If you get a reaction, that means you're creating something, whether people are hating it, and then you at least know, okay, why are they hating this? And you lean into the opposite side of that, or they're liking it. So reactions are great. Means you've put some fingerprint into the world. If you get no reaction, then there's something that for me with posting, again, I'm rambling, but for me, for posting, it's always that. If you get a reaction, it's like, okay, this thing that I did a little different got a different reaction. Let's continue to lead down that road to see what happens. And then you see it kind of snowball and you're like, oh, okay. And it's data. You just take that data and you keep growing it. So that's the way I approach it, is just, you know, enjoy it all, no matter what.
I kind of have an off the head kind of a question for you then. Just listening to you talk. Now, there is like some people on YouTube who are playing the early access version of Adams Ascending. And by the way, if you haven't yet, it's on Steam. Definitely check it out. I will say there's a Skyrim reference to it. So if you're a fan of Skyrim, I mean, why aren't you playing it? But, oh, by the way, before I forget, am I right to think that Volt Supreme was the voice of the father in the woods?
Yes. Okay. He's the father in all of it. Even Volt asked me, well, you know, and this is a great, bringing it back to the criticism. I got some criticism that said, oh, well, why is this father's voice completely different than the son's voice? Accent wise. And the whole point is, you know, the game is a paraphrase and along the biblical side of things, where, you know, we're all children of God, even though God is our father. We're all different, whether someone believes who is from Italy or from Ireland and has different accents. That in my world and my belief, that's still my father, and we all have the same father, but we're all different children. So that's kind of, you know, Volt's kind of reached out to me with the same things, like, well, my accent's different from yours. I was like, well, the kid's adopted, just like we are adopted to Christ. And the father, there's the game's deeper, and I definitely have to help that get out more with future updates and making the story come across a lot more impactful. But, you know, that's what's behind the language stuff with the voiceover. But yeah, it is Volt's. He represents my father. And,
I mean,
I loved it.
I heard it right away because, you know, of course we've had Volts on, and he is actually the designer behind the intro music to Games and Groceries. So definitely check out his stuff. But, you know, of course, from his own podcast, you know, I listened to it and then I just heard the father. I was like, that's Volts. That's straight up Volts. Like that. I knew it. But yeah, before that, I wanted to ask that
you
before.
were asking a question.
Anyways, back on topic. So does that give you any kind of anxiety to watch people play it? Is it almost like you put something out there and you feel like that's like your baby almost, and you don't want people to criticize it too much, or do you enjoy watching people play it? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's one of the scariest with doing movies back in the day. It's like the same thing when you work on a movie for a year or a game for 5 years and you put it out there. It's the most beautiful feeling in the world that you could sense. And I'm talking about the game and making movies. When you create something, you could sense every fiber of the individual viewing or playing your experience. Like you could sense everything that should be different and everything that kind of works, and you're like, okay, well, they got that, oh, they didn't get that, and it's super heightened. And I think it's one of the most fantastic feelings. Like honestly, 5 years of game development to, I always look at the negative to be able to make things better. So finding a couple negative responses, finding a couple negative responses with the game has definitely been exciting to watch, just to be able to see it and make a whole notes of feedback saying, okay, this is what the update's getting. This is what, yes, that needs to be adjusted. And then there's some things that people come across as like, well, that's not the creator's fault. This is more the player's fault. But you have to still try to improve that experience for them. But yeah, it's been fantastic. I think you're the most open. Your heart and your soul is completely open as you view somebody enjoying it or criticizing it. And that's growth. I would say even in our personal lives, I wish I wish we would ask people more often, like, hey, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the wrong thing? And get feedback from people, because that's how you grow and you become stronger that way. So yeah, it's been fantastic. Again, I'm experienced this, forgive my language, as a virgin game developer for the first time. So I'm just soaking it all in and enjoying the feedback and the ups and the downs and the hiccups with the whole process. And it's just, and again, I always rewind and I go, man, look at Rockstar's first game. Look at why am I going blank? Oh, Bungie. Like Bungie started off with just like nothing, little rough, really, I think first person game or third person, whatever. Every game studio has started like extremely rough in its time. So it's like, I just see it as that. I'm like, this is the 10-year journey, like I got the first thing done and now want to update it and keep working and see what happens next. So it's been great. It's been fantastic every step of the way.
Now, I have another question to ask you before we get into the community questions. By community, I mean Nikki. But I do want to ask you, now that you put this out in the world, and I do appreciate your answer there, that it does make you feel open. It does make you feel a little bit stressed out that this is, you want people to understand that this is the early access version of it, and it's not your final product. So you're still growing in it. And that's what I kind of want to ask you. That's why I want to transition into, why did you decide to release Adams Ascending in early access rather than just wait for a full release? And I'm just curious about your answer for that.
Yeah, I think number one, more on the technical and creative side of things, it's better. Like early access is going to be the best QA testing you could possibly ever do. You could go through tons of QA testing, but it's never going to give you the rawest real feedback ever.
True.
But the biggest thing was, the game always was about just being on an island, go around the whole island and get to the center of it. But as it developed, like every first time developer, I want to add this, I want to do this, or it's going to go this way. And it's only natural, because I've even heard professional game developers say, like GoldenEye for 64, if you've ever played that, originally was a shooter on rails for like the arcade. It was like an arcade shooter, like all you couldn't control it. And it went from that to what it is. And that's why some of the controls have you like hold down, I think, was it the R button on top, and like then you could pivot and move. So it's kind of that every game evolves like that. So with Adams Ascending, it was like, all right, I want to make this game and get that experience. But as I got to the 5-year marker, and obviously probably 3 of those years was learning how to really be a developer, probably, it really came down to, okay, to get this as a fully fledged, complete experience with all 3 episodes is going to take a while, and I'd rather put out it as an episode one because you could work on something forever, and then by the time you do put it out there, games have evolved so much that it's like outdated. So it's very important too to kind of put it out there in early access, one, to get feedback. And I think all the feedback that has come back, I've been like, perfect. I would never make a full game and then receive this feedback. It's so good to get this feedback now, and then as I move forward, integrate this into the game, into what the other episodes will be, if there's obviously a big backing for it or continued growth, which there has been. So yeah, that's the biggest reason. And then just to be able to have like a pause moment to be like, all right, it's out. I did this. Now let's analyze, improve graphical performance, UI, things that need to be added in there, and really have a great foundation that people one day could hopefully play episode 1 early access and say, man, this is fantastic. Give me, no hiccups. Give me episode 2. And then it's like, all right, let's shift gears now. We got episode 1 the way it's supposed to be from day one.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the business side of why I wanted to go that route. And people don't realize that you're getting it for cheaper, because if the game was fully out there, I know it's a little up there in price for what it is, but if it was all out there, it'd probably be a lot more. So as early access, you're getting an early entry into an early price that eventually gives you all that other stuff down the line. So yeah, more of a learning experience of why I wanted to go that route. Hopefully that answered long-winded.
It does. Because again, as you were talking, all I kept thinking about was the difference between the content we put out and the content you put out is that for us, it's pretty much early access weekly. We always put out content here and there and just fix it there. We've had trolls before saying like, oh, this guy is super energetic, and I've had that before. But that's how I can grow. I can grow weekly versus content that you put out. You have to keep building until you finally put out a big early access and get all the feedback kind of flooding in from there, and then take it all in. It's us is a slow burn. Yours is just burn, pretty much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I like what he says. Like, it's just something you take on to the next episode. Do you think you've gotten some good feedback so far, or like what has been your experience? Good job, Adam. What has been your experience so far in your early access?
I think it's been great. Obviously, there's some things that definitely need to be improved. Definitely have to be improved, and that they will be coming soon. But it's been fantastic to put it out there, because now when I jump back onto it, it's going to be, I know what I need to tackle and what to improve. And there's always little things like, oh, whoa, I didn't notice that could happen if you did that. Okay. And that's early access, and some games like Fortnite will be almost a pretty much complete game and be still in early access for a long time. It's one of those things that says, hey, this is not perfect. This is your part of the development. That's what early access is about. And that's what I hope people understand, but some people don't. So it's just like, that's just normal how it is, and it's like Cyberpunk is a big example of that coming out. It's seeing a bunch of hiccups. Like, this is a multi-million-dollar company, and they're
over 7 years. Yeah.
They're dealing with like multi-console generations and, issue. And I see the PS4 and Xbox builds, and I'm like, I understand. I'm like, that's like, you can't do anything about that right now. And it's always about, hey, just put it out there, see what really is the issue, and then we'll work on it and make it better. If 100% gamers don't realize that they would be infuriated if they're like, we're putting this off for another year. Then everybody would be like, like more crunch, you're screwing your employees, and it'll just keep going and going. Yeah. It's better to put it out there and make everybody like, it's done. And that same thing with Adams Ascending, and then just like build on what you have and make it great. Yeah. That's what it was always about right now for me with the early access.
Yeah, no, it's a lot interesting because there's news that came out that we talked about in this episode, is that Halo Infinite was delayed another year to fall 2021, and a lot of people were just thinking like, man, why didn't you? But that's a good point by Cyberpunk, saying that this is just a mess, wait for it, but at least people actually have it and can report on it and actually buy into it if they so choose to, versus Halo Infinite, nobody.
Yeah.
nobody has it. That's a good point. Interesting.
Yeah, I think in a year from now, like obviously there's a big hype. People who want Cyberpunk are gonna get like I want Infinite so bad. When it comes, I'm getting it. You know, like
Exactly.
it's like it is what it is. People who want Cyberpunk will get it. And you know, it's one of those things where in a year, just like with Witcher, I remember if you watch some Digital Foundry stuff, they break down everything. Like The Witcher 3 when it was released was a hot mess.
That's true.
You know, over a year, it became this like super smooth experience, and this is the greatest game of one of the greatest games of all time. Here's a special edition version. It's like a year from now, Cyberpunk's gonna continue to get improvements, next gen graphical updates, all that stuff, and people are gonna be like, "Well, now it's a good game. Great, good job." And they're gonna forget.
Yeah.
They're gonna forget all the problems they had with it, and that's gamers for us. So it's just like you know, we love to complain, but we still play it. And so it's
that's gamer culture, man. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Which I'm putting out the next Coffee Games episode. Should games be bug free before they release? But you know, that's your little hinty who about the next Coffee Games. But Nick, I want to actually ask you some questions from social media questions. Instead of social media answers, we asked you on social media, what is a question you might ask a debut game developer? All 4 questions came from Nikki. And that's all right, because Nikki is a gem amongst podcasters. So thank you, Nikki. So I want to get into these questions, and Nikki's very curious. I'm gonna put together the first 2 questions by saying, what is the easiest part of making a game, and what is the hardest part about making a game? And I want to bring it to you.
Since he's the only one who can answer.
I think so. And I will. What's that?
I think we could all answer this. When I answer, you're gonna be like, yeah, that's true. I hope.
That's true. And I would even add to that, what's the easiest, what's the hardest? And do you think that I'll add to it. Do you think that there's extremes to that point? Do you think there's an extreme easy, and do you think there's an extreme hard part to game development? What do you think?
So I'll answer the first part. Yeah. What's the easiest? I think this is life in general, is like having the vision of like, this is what I want to do. This is what this is where I'm going to go. It's so easy to say it. And I think and the hardest is, okay, walk it out. Now do it. Now do those things that you want to do. And I think that's life too. It's like, I want to move and I want to go live in the Bahamas. And okay, well, how can I get the money to get there? And where am I going to live? You know, it's like, so I think, it's easy to think of the vision. Like literally, I always say Adam's Sending was like a dream I had of like literally woke up. I'm like, I saw an island with a center, and you would got to get to the center. So it's like the vision is easy, not easy, but it's there. And then fleshing it all out, I think, is the challenge of getting to the end goal. And again, that's the same thing if you're chasing your dreams in life. It's the same parallel. And then I think, is there, you were saying, is there like an extreme for each? I think I bring up Cyberpunk because it kind of aggravates me how people see things, and they're like, how can you release this? And how can it be out there? And it's like, it's not that easy. So I think, I think the extreme side of easy is like, it's just a game. Let's just build it. We could do it. We could do it. Like, we could do that. Or you could find someone who could do that. Let's go. Like, that's the extreme side of it. And then I think the extreme of the hard side is like over analyzing everything and thinking like, okay, well, we can't get to step 1 till we get mini steps 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and A and B done first. You know, it's like, I think you could sit there and never start either. So I think you have to find that middle ground where it's like, this is a vision. I'm going to go do it. And then like, oh, wow, this is hard, but I'm still going to go do it. So it's finding, to me, as always, it's the balance of family and doing your dream. It's the balance of easy and hard side of games. It's always a balance, you know, everything. It's like, I'm literally in the process of buying a house, and it's like, do I do it this way or do I go for that one? Or, you know, it's like, do I go to this extreme or this, you know, like there's so many factors with life in general. So I think it's totally a life message too. So it's easy to say it. It's hard to do it. So that's those are the sides of it. And thank you for that question. I like it. It was it made me think about my whole journey. Like, I remember saying it. And then you go do it. You deal with some like game crashing bugs that make you fall to your crying, which I've happened to me before, and you're just like, oh. So you deal with the hard stuff too. So but that's
it really makes me think. And like you said, the easiest part is actually saying it. And as a small YouTuber, of course, my goal is to do this enough to pay bills. Not even like, enough to make it. No, just enough to pay my rent. But that's the thing, is that it's easy to just say it. And I'm always in the small YouTuber groups where it's just, what's the phrase they always use? A rise and grind is what they use, like rise and grind. And it's all just like motivational talk, but it's no walking. It's always people just saying, this is my dream. This is my passion. It's everybody's dream and passion. If you're literally doing it, then it's your dream and passion, but are you actually doing it? Go for it. No.
I always podcast, games, dreams. It's like, just try, experiment. Like that's the key. Like for the 5 years, even on the social media side, like, all right, posting like this 5 years ago, and then posting like this. Oh, wow, I've seen an uptick in this and that and this. So it's like, you just got to experiment. Same thing. It's like, all right, I'm going to do a game. Okay, before I want to do a full game. Now it's early access. Forget it. Who cares? Just go. Like, just do it. Throw everything at the wall. And then, like, prime examples like Among Us, which if you heard of it, obviously most people. But but like, not a game that came out today, not a game that came out in 2020. This is a game that's been released, I think, over 2 years ago.
2018.
And just started picking up steam. So it just shows, like, you just throw everything at the wall, man. It's like, you got to not to say you try it because it's not working doesn't mean it's good, but from that day one where they released till probably this year where it exploded. It was the perfect environment. It was COVID. Everybody's at home. You got the right streamer to probably play it, and it just exploded. So it's like, there was probably a lot of steps that went back and forth to get that to that point. And that's what you have to do in your own life. Just experiment and try and try and try. And if you want to make it, that's what it takes. Like, I went from doing films to working on the tech side to working on having fun on the side for doing games. And so it's like, you have to evolve. You have to, that's where you find out what your like true passion is and your strength, your muscle to move forward. So that's my advice and wisdom.
I like what you're saying, is that pretty much don't be stagnant is pretty much your vision here. Even looking at the channel, we're even doing little powwows between me and Elizabeth. It's not done yet. Like, it's still like so many steps. And what experiment are we going to do next that's actually going to not only work, but something that you can actually do, be realistic in your whole life schedule. We don't have a set of twins, so I think we have more time than Nick DePalo has, but it's still just like, be realistic with your life goals, I think.
Now, man, maybe you guys can start it up when COVID's done, but I'm ready to launch a podcast that's, and if anybody takes this idea, please involve me, but ready to start a podcast, freaking throw a bunch of games in a car, set up a screen in the car, pick up random people and have them experience a wonderful game experience. And then talk to them, have a podcast while you're driving. They're in the back seat in a little cool entertainment place playing the game. And you could just talk to them. Hey, have you played games? What do you think about this? Maybe you get a super passionate person, ask them some questions about a game, or somebody who's completely never played a game. I think that's the stuff that people love. They want to experience things that they've never had before. So that's an idea I'm going to start messing around with soon. It's just like podcast, fun, dive into people's, I give it to you guys to start it up. So but that's the stuff that gets me excited. Like, just thinking random, crazy, hey man, Seinfeld, comedians in cars, driving, drinking coffee, whatever. It's like, it's like so random, but that's a podcast about comedians drinking coffee and driving around. It's like, that's the era we're in. Just try different things, experiment. So, but I'm rambling again as always. So thank you.
And I got two more questions from Nikki that I'm also going to put together here. She asks two more questions. What is your least favorite task, and how do you stay motivated? And I'm going to combine the two by asking, what is your least favorite task, in terms of how does it spiritually deteriorate you, right? And how do you stay motivated through doing that least favorite task? How do you keep on climbing the mountain that is game development? So what do you think about that?
I think the least favorite task is definitely like just grinding away at the same thing and wanting to move on, but knowing that you have. And again, I bring it back to the dream in everybody's life. It's sometimes we're in seasons that you're just like, you have to stay put and wait for the door to open. So it's the same thing where I think that's the most challenging for me when I'm working on the game is just like, man, I want to move to the next thing or the next level.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'd be so stale in one level, just like stuck on a level for like 3 weeks and just like, can I see some other environment, please? Or some other, thing. But the way you get through it is just you finding, I guess I try to find, and I think we do it in our jobs. I think we do it everywhere. It's just like find the little things in those annoying tasks to make better. It's like, even if it's super small, but like, we could improve that. I find that exciting in a challenge. Let me see how I could improve this part of me making games, or this is how a door used to open a year ago in the game. Let me try to figure out a new way to code to make a trigger open up a door differently. It's like, and you become more efficient and faster. And faster and more impactful in what you do. So I think in those hard moments in life or in game development, just find those things to try to improve the process. Like while you're digging the hole, try to find a better shovel, I guess, or a better way to shovel the dirt. Yeah, sorry about that again. There we go. Family life. But yeah, that's definitely the answer to the question on my end.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that staying motivated to find new tools to put forward. In fact, even thinking about that, each time you were on the podcast, we improved in a different way. I was just about to say you're the first person we did video with, and your video's out. Bye, Nick.
Here,
there we go.
But yeah,
sorry,
no, you're good, man. But yeah, like the very first time you were on, that's the first time we started a video podcast. And then the next time you were on, we were in a little corner, made a bigger set. And now the third time you're on, we're actually getting your video. There's colors in the background. So it's each time just chipping away, finding a different way to improve. And like you said, there's different things where you're just saying, I'm working on the same thing over and over again. I'll never make improvements. I'll never make it or blah, blah, blah. But and each time it's supposed to be a life lesson, how can I improve today rather than how can I improve in the big picture? But I like what you had to say. Unfortunately, that's all of Nikki's questions. I'm sure she would ask you a lot more, but yeah, that's social media questions. If you want to follow us on social media at Gaming Groceries on Twitter, Games Groceries, all one word, on Instagram or on Facebook, you just find us on Facebook. I will ask you a question about the discussion, and you can be a part of the discussion. So bringing it back to one of my last questions for you is that talking about your game development for Adams Ascending, what are your plans for the future? Are you just going to be focusing on Adams Ascending? Do you have ideas for a sequel or even a new IP? I want to hear your thoughts about the future.
Yeah, I think the future, first off, is going to be probably rolling out some updates soon, and then going into 2021 with like, all right, this is way better, type of vibe. And then I think, honestly, I want to take what I have and just to see what happens and like shop it around as more of like a prototype and bring it to some publishers and say, hey, like this is what we have with nothing. Do you want to help? And see what we could do with that. And sometimes you might get something hooked into it, and it's like, whoa, becomes a huge franchise if it has the right power behind it. So, that's like the next goal. And then we'll see how the update does with some different marketing attached to it. And then I have tons of ideas, and I think they're in completely different directions for future projects. I think something a lot more lighthearted, a lot more fun, and much simpler to do in the sense of like, hey, I want to do like 3-month turnaround time and make something fun. Something that'll probably still be early access, but just something more about in the future, depending on how Adam's Ascending goes, but more in the future about, hey, let's throw like we just mentioned, different unique experiences out there. Let's see if catches or something really picks up steam because of because it's different, and then go, hey, picked up steam, let's go with it, and massive companies and studios do the same thing. They throw out full-fledged and then they become franchises. Like a Call of Duty used to be just one Call of Duty, like, hey, this is our new game called Call of Duty, and then it's like, well, picked up, let's make it a franchise for freaking decades. So like it's those things. And as like a solo developer, I definitely want to experiment with different ideas, because now I feel like I have a great base of knowing how to build at least a working game. You could say that, I guess, and then like take that and use it into something else. But yeah, a lot of fun ideas I got brewing. Simple, exciting. What? This is cool. Okay. And nothing, I think, extreme to the place of, because I've seen how much work it takes to get more of like an adult fully fledged experience out. So I think I want to go something more lighthearted and relaxed and laid back, and that people will love to mess around with. So yeah, that's what the future holds. Who knows? Things, I didn't know I was moving to Seattle 2 years ago, so things always adjust and shift and move. So we'll see how things move, move forward.
So I did want to ask your opinion about something. So you want to bring out the publishers, and you are moving to Seattle, as you said, so near the headquarters of Xbox. And I want to ask you, what are your thoughts about Game Pass, and would you ever be interested if offered the opportunity to put Adams Ascending on Game Pass? What do you think?
So yeah, I think Game Pass is the future. I think I don't care what anybody thinks. I think, Amazon Luna, Stadia, you could rip these things. You could say they have no games. I don't care. It's the future. It is where we're going. I think it's fantastic for what Game Pass is doing in Amazon Luna, and then just how it's developing into a streaming platform. And I think I was saying there's a lot of game developers out there or game developers and gamers who, yes, we want that super crisp experience and, no issues. But I think that's coming through things like Game Pass and Stadia. And as the audience grows, there's more of a market. And as that market grows, you're going to see the shift of games going in that direction. And all you need is one massive franchise to bring people over. Let's say if Halo was coming to Stadia or Luna one day, let's say, like as an exclusive, you would see everybody go whoop, and it would just well, I'm picking up Luna because it's on that platform now. So it's like, obviously that won't happen. But I'm saying all you need is that type of first party amazing experience, and you'll see the shift happen. And I think that's coming. So yeah, Game Pass, fantastic. I think everyone's different age, and I'll say that one last thing about Game Pass and just like streaming services. Like I'm obsessed now with, even after the game, I've been obsessed with just like, oh, I want to dive in, experience a quick game. Okay, that was great. Move on to the next. And I think as we go forward, you're going to get smaller and smaller and more bite-sized games. And yes, I would love to get Adams Ascending on a Game Pass. I'm talking to a couple of the individuals there, and I think just need to get the game fleshed out a little bit more. And then we'll see what happens. I think that's a prime example of like, all right, someone's paying $14 a month. Like, oh, let me try this. Oh, it was cool. Okay. Like that's where experiences like that that's how experiences like that could really grow and evolve. Hopefully you heard my last sentence there, but I think that's where the experience could grow and evolve. And I think it's fantastic to hopefully get it there. Fingers crossed. I'm going to be down the street from Xbox, so maybe I'll just knock on the door and be like, hey, what's up?
Knock on Major Larry Herb. I couldn't remember his last name for some reason. Like, Larry Herb, come on now. Put my game on.
I'll reach out to him and send him an email or something and see if I can hunt him down. I think that's definitely a plus. But yeah, I would love it. So I think in the years to come, we'll see a lot of cool evolution of everything. Hopefully I'm working on and just go from there. I think it's just the beginning, even though it's been 5 years. But it's I just see it as like 5 months. Like it went by pretty fast, and next thing to come is huge.
Man.
So there, I'll introduce you the whole world because she just walked in. My daughter Isabella, say hi.
Hi.
There we go. Okay, go outside. See, that's the life you got to balance. It's overwhelming now, so it's just balance.
So you're a busy guy. I want to ask you one final question before we sign you out, because you got a lot of family opportunities to do, responsibilities, I should say, not opportunities. But talking finally about Adams Ascending, rolling out the red carpet, where can we get it? Why should we invest into Adams Ascending? And that's pretty much it. Like, why should people invest into Adams Ascending in early access?
So yeah, Adams Ascending early access. Again, I'm balancing the family life, so thank you for your patience. I think for me personally, I think it's all about. I always see it as we're always asking for new games, new experiences, new types of things, and to me, that's where it comes down to. It's obviously maybe somebody that's never heard of it, like what's this? But for me, it's always about investing in an opportunity to one day grow into something that's like a cyberpunk. So that's the way I see it for individuals out there who are maybe about to pull the trigger and maybe not to. I'd say more than anything, you're not pulling a trigger on the game. You're pulling the trigger on something that could become for the opportunity to say, hey, I was at the start of this company. I was at the start. And I could physically see all the purchases, and it's not like I can't count them. So it's really great to be at this level at the moment, to really just soak in all those people who have jumped in and soaked that. But I think it's like a Kickstarter. It's like you're investing in what a game or developer can be. That's the way I see it. And that's what I would tell people out there is just, it's more of a heart project, and for the future, you're investing in the future of what things could be. So yeah, hopefully that answered the question.
Oh, it definitely did. And I want to link want to link your game. I'm tired too. I want to link Adams Ascending. You can buy it on Steam. It will be linked in the description down below, whether you're watching on audio or watching on video or listening on audio. My goodness.
You got this.
But Nick, you're a pretty busy guy, so I want to let you go and be with your family. But again, man, thanks for coming on the show, and please consider playing Adams Ascending. Nick, any final words before we sign off?
Please, as always, man, just everybody chase your dreams, listen to what's been put in your heart. Whether you believe or not, prayer always opens doors. So put a seed of prayer in whatever you're doing and see the next door open. So yeah, chase your dreams, listen to what your soul's telling you, not your heart. The two different things for sure. And just move forward and keep fighting the good fight. That's my positivity for the day. There you go.
Right on, man. All right. I'll let you go. I'll let you go, man. We thank you for listening to this week's Games and Groceries podcast. We hope you enjoyed this one. Be sure to follow Nick DePalo on all the social media pages I'll link down below. Please remember to wear your mask out there and have a safe week.
Bye.
Bye.